Very happy morning, children. So, today I thought that I should discuss some additional questions of the chapter Lost Spring, and I will deal with the first story. So, before I start with the additional questions, let me just tell you the gist of the story of the first story in brief. That is, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. So, by this time, you know that Sahib is the hero of this story, and we are talking about Sahib, and the place that he lives in is Simapuri. And the author, she comes across Sahib every morning, and she asks him that why does he do this work, why doesn't he go to school instead of scrounging garbage. And he says that he doesn't have any school in his neighborhood. And the author Anish Jung, she simply says that if I open a school, would you come to the school? And he is very anxious, and he says yes, definitely he would go to the school. But as it was simply words which came out from the author's mouth. She didn't mean anything of it. So there was no school, and Sahib couldn't go to school. We can see that in the chapter. And we also see that he moves about barefooted. And again, the author, she tries to find excuses. She asks questions to them that why they are moving, why they were moving barefooted. And the children, they have their excuses. They say that the mother didn't give the slippers from the shelf. They have other reasons. And the author, she says that it is the tradition, the habit to move about barefooted. And then she herself, she admits this, that actually it is because of the perpetual state of poverty. And then we get another important aspect of it when we find that about the tennis. Sahib, he loves the game. Of course, he cannot afford to play the game, but he enjoys seeing it. And he has managed to get a pair of shoes, though it is torn, but it is a pair of tennis shoes, and is happy getting that. Then we also get the difference between what was the difference of perspective between the parents and the children as far as scrounging of garbage was concerned. For the children, it was full of wonder, full of surprise, because sometimes they would get a rupee note, a 10 rupee note, but for the elders, it was means of survival, it was livelihood. And then the author, she continues at the end to say that one day, and in between we are getting that story of that priest boy from UDP who had prayed for a pair of shoes, and later 30 years later, when she visited the same temple, she found the son of another priest who was living a good life, a comparatively better life, and had a pair of shoes, proper uniform he was in. And but she says that unlike the priest's son, the children of these the people living in Simapuri, the rag pickers, the squatters of Simapuri, they couldn't afford to have, their children couldn't afford to have a pair of shoes. And then she says that one morning she sees Sahib moving with a canister, and he had started working in a tea stall, but still he had lost that happy look, that carefree look. He was earning 800 rupees, he was being given food 3 times meals, but still he was unhappy because no longer he was doing his own work, no longer he was his own master. He was bound under another master. He was working for the tea stall owner. So this is the gist of the story. Now the additional questions that I want to discuss. First, but promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. What promise does the author recall? In what context was it made? Was it fulfilled? What promise does the author recall? The promise that was made by the author, that she made to Sahib, that she would open a school and Sahib could join the school. So she recalls this promise. And in what context was it made? Because Sahib was moving about scrounging garbage, and just it came as an idea into the mind of the author, and she made this promise. Half jokingly, she said that if Sahib would attend the school if she opened one. And Sahib, he smiled very broadly and he agreed to come. And after a few days, was it fulfilled? Of course, it was not fulfilled, because after a few days, when Sahib sees the author, he comes running to her and asks her about the school. And the author, she was very embarrassed that she had made a promise that was not meant. Now, what is the meaning of Sahib's full name? Sahib's full name is Sahib-e-Alam, and it means the Lord of the universe. And does he know it? Definitely not. Sahib doesn't know what the meaning of his name was. If he knew it, definitely he wouldn't believe it. It would be hard for him to believe, because someone who roams about in the street of Simapuri barefooted cannot afford to have a pair of shoes. They were simply rag pickers. How could he believe that his name meant Sahib-e-Alam? So this is the Lord of the universe. This is the irony behind his name also, Sahib-e-Alam. The next question now. How does the author focus on the perpetual state of poverty of the children not wearing footwear? As I told you before that she notices the young children engaged in rag picking, not wearing footwear, moving without chappals, and first she says that they don't want to wear shoes. Somewhere or the other it is their tradition to remain barefoot, and then the author, she comes to this conclusion that actually it is because of lack of money. It is the perpetual state of poverty that they are living in. Poverty forces them to walk without footwear. This is the conclusion made by the author. Next question. Explain, for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. So small children, when they scrounge heaps of garbage, they expect to get something. It is full of wonder. Sometimes they get a rupee note, sometimes a 10 rupee note too. And this gives the hope to them of finding more. They search the garbage excitedly. For children, garbage, as I said, is wrapped in wonder. But for the elders, it is just a means of survival. So both of them, the children and the elders, the perspective is different. It is full of wonder for the children and it is means of survival for the elders. Where does the author find Sahib one winter morning? What explanation does Sahib offer? One winter morning, the author, she finds Sahib standing outside the fenced gate of a neighborhood club, and he was watching two men dressed in white playing tennis. And Sahib, he says that he likes the game, but he cannot afford to play the game. So he is content, satisfied to watch it standing behind the fence. And at times he goes inside when no one is around, and he also uses the swing over there. How has a dream come true for Sahib, but what is out of his reach? The dream of having a pair of shoes, that has come true. He couldn't afford to play the game, but he had managed to get a pair of shoes with a hole that had been thrown away by another boy. So at least now he would not be walking barefoot. Even shoes with a hole was a dream come true for him. And what is out of reach? Definitely, of course, the game of tennis is beyond his reach. He is watching the game so intently, but it is beyond his reach. He cannot afford to play the game. Next question. How does Sahib's life change when he starts working at the tea stall? Now, Sahib is now having a regular income. He is earning 800 rupees and all his meals. Food is no longer a problem for him, but still he has lost his carefree look. The steel canister that he carries on his back on his shoulder is a burden for him because he is no longer his own master. He may have to work for longer hours. This exploitation makes him sad. Now, other than this, I wanted to discuss some of the questions which were there in the board examination. One question: do you think Sahib was happy to work at the tea stall? This was there in the year 2000. Okay, I repeat the question. Do you think Sahib was happy to work at the tea stall? No, Sahib was not happy working at the tea stall because he was no longer his own master. He was bound to his master, the tea stall owner, and the canister that he was carrying was heavier compared to the light plastic bag. The bag was his own. The canister belonged to the tea stall owner. So Sahib is no longer his own master. Then there is another question of All India 2000 only. What does the title Lost Spring convey? Now, we are getting two words in the title, Lost and Spring. Now, the title, it conveys that how millions of children in our country, they lose the spring of their lives. Spring is supposed to be the best time of the season, and the spring of a human life is the childhood, and these children, they lose their childhood. The best phase of their life is lost in the hardships which is involved in earning their livelihood. So poverty actually is behind this loss, and they lose all the fun of childhood. Then there's another question of 2010. Why does the author say that now this bangle makers, this is of Mukesh, so I'll be discussing in the next class. 2011, there's another question. What does the writer mean when she says Sahib is no longer his own master? Again, it is a repetition of the question that I have already discussed, but still, that why Sahib is no longer his own master? Because he is working under the tea stall owner. He is not doing his own work, that is scrounging of garbage. Instead of that, he is working under a tea stall owner. So in spite of getting enough money and all his meals, still we find that he is not happy. Then garbage has two different meanings, one for the children and another for the adults. Again, this I have discussed, but this was there in the All India Compartmental Exam 2012. So two different meanings, as I told you, two different perspectives we get. For the children, garbage has a different meaning. It is wrapped in wonder. Their eyes light up when they find a rupee or 10 rupee note, and henceforth they search the garbage excitedly. But for the elders, it means only survival, livelihood. Why is Sahib unhappy working? Again, the same question. So you can understand this question is very important actually. 2013 also it was there. Then there's another question, survival of 2013 only. Survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Survival in Simapuri, it meant rag picking because over the years the people living in Simapuri, they have acquired this particular work as a fine art. For the slum dwellers in Simapuri, rag picking is their daily bread. It gives them a roof over their head, and it is a means of survival. It is a tradition to stay barefoot. What is the attitude of the rag pickers of Simapuri towards wearing shoes? Okay, now this question was then again in the compartmental exam 2013. Okay, what is the attitude of the rag pickers of Simapuri towards wearing shoes? The rag pickers of Simapuri have different attitudes towards wearing shoes. One boy, he says that he does not feel like wearing shoes. One says that the mother didn't give it from the shelf, and but the author, she feels in a different way. She says that first she says that it is their tradition to remain barefooted, and then she admits, she says that it is not, it is actually the tradition to stay, it is not lack of money but the tradition to stay barefoot. And then she admits, she says that actually they are living in a perpetual state of poverty, so they cannot afford to have a pair of shoes. Then there is a question in 2014, what job did Sahib take up? Was he happy? We know the job he took was working in a tea stall. He got 800 rupees and all his meals, but still he was not happy. He had lost his carefree look because he was bound and burdened, and he had to follow the orders of his masters. He was no longer his own master. Why did Sahib's parents leave Dhaka and migrate to India? This again was there in 2014 compartmental exam. Sahib's home was set amidst the green fields of Dhaka, and his mother told him that because of the storms that swept their fields and homes, they had to leave Dhaka and migrate to India looking for gold. Gold over here means the livelihood in a big city where they live, that is Simapuri in the periphery of Delhi. In what sense is garbage gold to the rag pickers? This was again there in the All India exam 2014. The rag pickers of Simapuri considered garbage as nothing less than gold. Why? Because that was their means of survival. It was their daily bread. Especially for the elders, and for the children it was wrapped in wonder. It gave them hope of finding more of 1 rupee and 10 rupee notes. There's another question in the year 2015, it was there, All India exam 2015. What did Sahib look for in the garbage dumps? So according to the authors, Sahib scrounges for gold in the garbage dumps, and gold here infers the valuables to him, like whatever he must be scrounging, the clothes, the shoes, the plastic scraps, the coins, he says, at times 1 rupee or 10 rupee note. So all these were wrapped in wonder for Sahib. So I think if you are doing all these questions, the whole chapter will be covered. I mean the story, the first story of the chapter will be covered, and you will be able to answer any question that you will be getting in your examination. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.